Earlier this week, 13 hours of intense rains wreaked significant havoc on the Greater Accra region and other coastal regions. That required an immediate and decisive government response. First of all, to bring relief to affected victims and take immediate steps to ensure that further rainfall does not aggravate the situation. Government has since been rolling out its program. But in order that we bring the people of Ghana along and inform you on what is happening so that you are also aware of the role that you need to play, the President thought it necessary to expand the existing arrangements and incorporate other government agencies so that the response will be more robust. Now, once such an arrangement is in place, there is a need for someone to coordinate these activities so that there is consistency of information flow and that the work that is being done is also highlighted. And for that reason, we have called this briefing. And to help us appreciate what is happening, we have no less a person than the coordinator of government's response to the unfortunate flooding that took place earlier this week. And he's in the person of Brigadier General Foster Okanyeboa, who currently serves as Director General Joint Operations of the Ghana Armed Forces. So he's here to brief us on activities undertaken so far and what to be done going forward. As soon as he is done, we would also be joined by Mr. Kojo Ohinesafo, who is the coordinator of the Garage project. Without taking any more of your time, let me invite Brigadier General Foster Okanyeboa to the podium to make his presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Minister for Government Communications, for the opportunity. Deputy Chief of Staff Operations, Ministers of State, heads of all intervention agencies, members of the various emergency subcommittees, the media, ladies and gentlemen. The Government of Ghana wishes to inform the general public that following the rains of Sunday 28 and Monday 29 June 2026, which caused devastating floods in several communities within the Greater Accra region and parts of the Volta and Central regions, a comprehensive post-flood recovery and mitigation program has been activated to restore normalcy, safeguard public health, and strengthen national resilience against future flooding. In the immediate aftermath of the disaster, His Excellency the President of the Republic conducted an area reconnaissance of the affected areas to obtain a first-hand assessment of the extent of the devastation and to direct government's response based on the realities on the ground. Following this assessment, the President directed the activation of a national post-flood mitigation task force to coordinate all recovery, relief, and mitigation interventions. To ensure an effective and coordinated response, specialized subcommittees have been established, namely the Anti-Flood Task Force, which is now the Post-Flood Mitigation Committee, Early Warning Committee, Sanitation and Health Committee, Relief and Donations Committee, and Emergency Communications Committee. As an immediate demonstration of the government's commitment to the welfare of affected communities, His Excellency the President has committed 350 million Ghana cedis to support emergency relief, recovery, and flood mitigation interventions. Government has further directed that the Ghana Armed Forces lead the operational component of the mitigation effort. This will be done in collaboration with the relevant agencies under the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing, the National Disaster Management Organization, the Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies, the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana National Fire Service, the Ghana Health Service, the Environmental Protection Agencies, private sector organizations, and other relevant stakeholders. The nationwide cleanup and recovery exercise will focus on restoring public safety, improving sanitation, and preventing secondary disasters such as outbreaks of cholera, typhoid, and other waterborne diseases. Particular attention will be given to the removal of refuse, silt, fallen trees, abandoned vehicles, collapsed structures, and other debris obstructing roads, bridges, drains, and waterways. As part of the operation, the Ghana Armed Forces will deploy personnel, engineers, specialized equipment to clear major drains, streams, rivers, and other critical waterways. In accordance with applicable laws and directives of the appropriate civil authorities, structures illegally erected within waterways or that pose an immediate danger to public safety and flood mitigation efforts may be removed where necessary. The Metropolitan, Municipal, and District Assemblies have also been directed to organize and lead cleanup exercises within their respective jurisdictions in support of the national operation. Their efforts will complement those of the Ghana Armed Forces and other security agencies to ensure that all affected communities receive the required attention. The government is particularly grateful to the numerous private sector organizations that have responded positively to the national appeal by voluntarily providing heavy equipment, technical expertise, and logistics to support the exercise. The government commends this demonstration of patriotism and corporate social responsibility and encourages other organizations to support this important national endeavor. In addition, equipment acquired under the District Road Improvement Program is being mobilized to augment ongoing operations across affected areas. The public is advised that portions of routes may experience temporary traffic diversions or restricted access while the cleanup and engineering works are underway. Residents are therefore urged to fully cooperate with personnel on the ground and to comply with all traffic management and safety instructions issued by the security agencies. Owners and occupiers of structures located within waterways, drainage reservations, and other environmentally sensitive areas are further urged to cooperate with relevant authorities to facilitate the execution of this critical national assignment. The government remains committed to ensuring that all actions undertaken during the exercises are carried out professionally, humanely, and in accordance with Ghana's laws. Members of the public are also encouraged to support the operation by keeping drains free from refuse and other obstructions, avoiding indiscriminate dumping of waste, reporting blocked drains, damaged bridges, and dangerous structures to the appropriate authorities, observing public health advisories issued by the Ghana Health Services, and cooperating fully with officials conducting the exercise. The government assures the public that this operation forms part of a broader national flood resilience strategy that is under implementation. The strategy aims to improve drainage infrastructure, strengthen early warning systems, enforce planning environmental regulations, and enhance emergency preparedness nationwide. The success of this exercise depends on the collective efforts of government, local authorities, the security services, the private sector, civil society organizations, and every citizen. It is through this shared effort that we will restore our communities, protect lives, and build a cleaner, safer, and more resilient Ghana. On behalf of the various subcommittees that have started rigorous work, I want to assure His Excellency the President, through the Chief of Staff, who is leading this mitigation effort, that we shall not leave any stone unturned. Under the guidance of the Emergency Communications Committee, we shall provide regular, sustained public briefings and a full communications upscale as we launch into action. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, I would like to invite the coordinator of the GARID project and a member of the Post-Flood Mitigation Committee, Mr. Kojo Ohene Safo, to give us a short technical presentation to help put the challenges we face into perspective. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mine is to present the state of affairs as we are currently experiencing it, and also trace back to what the situation was on the ground before we are currently facing the situation that we're facing. We did a study of several water bodies across the region, both the wetlands as well as the streams and storm drains. And we found certain developments that are quite stark, and we want to share with you. Starting off from most of the water bodies take their sources from the hillsides, the Akwapim Range. You would see that in 2023, the image to the left, I believe, the developments were not as many on the hillsides, and within 3 years, you see densification of developments that are happening in 2026, the same location. I want to proceed to the Densu-Weja Basin. In 2010, the image of the Tetegu wetlands would show you on the left that it had barely any development there. But by 2026, half of the land is virtually gone. So the city does not have enough space for water to pond to allow for the runoffs not to disturb settlements. These are images that are showing how developments are proceeding in those areas. The pattern has been people import materials, fill, especially in the dry season, and then wet season, they wait the next cycle of dry season, then they start building and taking up the spaces. Again, the next image is so how some of the developments are pushing the water courses into misdirecting them, so they are now meandering instead of having to follow the straight paths that originally they were supposed to pass. The Laffa Basin has experienced the same thing. You see the image, this is the Malam section of the Laffa Basin, the Malam Market, close to the Malam Market. In 2010, a few developments in the wetlands, but by 2026, more than half of the land is already taken up by developments. Again, we show you images here bordering on the salt pans at Pambros. And most of the lands here were filled with solid waste, capped with laterite, and then built upon, taking up all the land that nature has given us for us to hold water whenever there's excess runoff. The next slide is showing you how the solid waste is imported to fill the wetlands. We will show videos, a 5-minute video after this presentation to make underpin what we are talking about. Peshi, you see the image, in the image, the boundaries that are bordered by the red line was the extent as at 2012. The white line is the extent as at 2026. We've again lost about half of the lands there to developments. We wanted to take a particular point to make the case. In the Kojo stream that feeds into the Peshi Lagoon, the point where we have fixed point A, as you see in the image, as of 2002, the width of the Kojo River was 261 meters. By 2013, almost 10 years later, it had reduced to 211 meters. By 2022, it had shrunk to 19 meters. And by 2026, it has shrunk to 10.6 meters. So in a space of less than 25 years, we have reduced almost to 100% the size of the flow. And so when it rains and people are complaining this is flooding, this is the kind of human behavior that is leading to the situation that we are facing. Now, on the East Legon Boundary Road, there's a water body that is called the Tessa Dam. The red boundary is the extent as of 2008. The white boundary is the current extent. We've lost more than 50% of the catchment there. The Sakumono Basin. The red boundary is showing us the situation as at 2011. The white boundary is showing us the situation as at 2026. More than half of the Sakumono site has been lost to development. These are some of the images that you see in the Sakumono catchment, where people fill and they are more or less recovering the land from the Ramsar site, almost up to the point of where it enters the sea. Second image is showing again how developments are taking up all the spaces and affecting the communities. We also did some numbers, some analysis, assembly by assembly. We're just taking a snapshot to give you just the numbers. And we did it assembly by assembly, where the main water bodies are. Ablekuma Central, as at for the stretch that we did the analysis, as at 2022, there were 6 structures. Luckily for them, in that same stretch, presently no developments have happened there. But that really is an isolated case. Ayawaso Central, 793 as at 2022, 801 as at 2026. Ayawaso East, 337 as at 2022, 494 as at 2026. Ayawaso North, 365 as at 2022, 365 as at 2026. For some of these, it's because the place is already fully built up, so there's no space for further developments to take place. Ayawaso West, 1 additional structure between 2022 and 2026. The Gas Central, 54 additional structures between 2022 and 2025. Now we have 2,329 structures in the section that we analyzed. Kole Klote, in the section we analyzed, from 178 to 186 structures. La Dadi Kotopon, from 207 to 295. Okaikwe North, from 596 to 729 for just a small section that we analyzed. Wejagbawi, from 462 to 511 in the years that we did the analysis. Lejokuku, 544 to 638 in the intervening period. Ga East, from 693 to 711. Bon Katamanso, from 171 to 214. Ablekuma West, from 904 to 1,293. Gan West, from 456 to 559. Gan North, from 1,049 to 1,261. Gan South, from 746 to 871 structures. With just this sample, we are seeing that there of the 16 assemblies that we did the analysis for short sections, the counts are 10,497 structures. And we have lost the buffers, and this is just 25 meters of each side of the drain, which the law requires to be kept free and clear of developments. We have lost around 16% of the land, and thereby leading to the situation as we face it. We'll now show you a short video that would perhaps make the case as we are currently discussing. Please, can we play the video? This is starting from the Abri Hills, and you can see the speed at which people are clearing the surfacing and building on these places. Now, most of these places is where the source is. Once they scrape off the topsoil, it intensifies the rate at which sand comes into the basins that are downstream, that are the valley, and proceeds into the city. So when we have a lot of this silt coming into the basin, certainly is going to increase the silt levels and therefore cause the overflooding that we have in some of the spaces downstream. Yeah. This is the Sango Lagoon. You see that the water course is meandering because people are pushing the water course. All right. Meander as people push the water body. And here is where two water bodies converge. Presently, the assembly is unable to enter and dredge because people have built directly at the edges. So it is difficult to get equipment in to do the dredging. So even where the assembly has the capacity or the institutions have the capacity, human activities is constraining the mitigation that could have otherwise reduced the impact that we have suffered. Some of these places, one of the things you will observe is that generally it's not just a water body, it's a flat plain. So that the adjoining lands are supposed to allow for wherever even there's excess water, the water can sit without disturbing human activities. This is the what they call the Malambola, South McCarthy Hill Plains. All the trucks lined up in the video that you see are bringing solid waste into the wetlands. And this video was taken early June, where we were able to track all of these things. And once this place is filled with a solid waste, the next action is then to pour laterite on it and then apportion it for sales. And this is one of the major wetlands that needed to be protected. Oyarefa, again, we find developments constraining. The development that you see here is a filling station, and it is sitting directly on the water body. Just a little channel has been allowed to pass under it to take the water. So when there's going to be excess water, it will have to flow backwards and spill into the communities that are upstream. Here you can see that this is a retention area, a natural retention area, and people have built within it. Some of it you can see that they have, even though they've walled it, water is ponding inside the spaces that they have kept. This property, there was a property there, a number of properties here, they fence it off, wait for dry season, then they build. They fence it off, wait for dry season, then they build. This is what's going on in certain sections of Oyarefa. So not just the water body, but the water body in combination with the wetlands that are associated with them. This is Sakumono. We've given you the numbers already, but this is the state of affairs as we have it. So when the water comes, all of these lands were supposed to be available to just receive the water. But now half of the land has been taken. In fact, if you want to take it back to those who know Tema well, in the mid-80s, the Ramsar site actually extended all the way to Committee 12. But now we've lost Committee 12, Committee 6, some parts of Committee 5, Committee 3, and on the other side, we have Klagon. We have all those communities that have come up and pushed the water body into the small catchment as we now have it. Most of these spaces were all part of the original Sakumono Ramsar site. This is Tetegu. All of this was part of the wetland. All of it was part of the wetland. Now we have developments all over. And like I said in the presentation, forcing the channel to meander instead of having its free course to flow directly to where it must go and then help the water levels to recede and not affect people. These are all properties that are constraining, built over it, put some 2 pipes under it, as though the pipes were enough. And then there's also one where the channel has been diverted 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees, 90 degrees around people's buildings. People deliberately blocked the path to recover the land and redirected it at 90-degree turns, and it led to the situations that we are having across the city. There's one of the turnings that we're talking about, how that the development is pushing the land, is pushing the water, and the water has to now meander around human settlements. these areas downstream were all supposed to be kept free so that the water should be able to, but people are building and trying to come into the spaces where the water itself must run. You see developments all over, both high income, middle income, low income. It's a function of the whole society's attitude and behavior that is affecting everybody. Most of these spaces were all part of the original wetlands, but they have now become fully developed communities. And so when we have the volumes of rain that we have, the water doesn't have a natural path that would not adversely impact people. It would rather affect people. On that note, I thank you.
Thank you very much, Brigadier General Okanyeboa and Dr. Kojo Ohene Safu. Now that had to do with post-flood mitigation measures. As you may be aware, there is another component that deals with relief for victims of last Monday's downpour, and that is what I am going to speak about in order to shed light on what has happened so far. So I'm going to give you an overview of the situation currently. Now, the impact of the floods spans 7 regions, with the Greater Accra, Volta, and Central regions being the hardest hit. I want to assure the public that the government's response has been swift, coordinated, and continuous. Under the direct instruction of the President, NADMO, through the Relief and Donations Committee, has commenced the aggressive mobilization and distribution of essential relief items, including food, clean drinking water, temporary shelter materials, blankets, and medical supplies. To ensure orderly and rapid deployment, the distribution to the affected districts is being executed in structured phases. On Wednesday, 1st July 2026, emergency relief items were successfully dispatched and issued to the following municipal areas in the capital: La Dade-Kotopon Municipality, Ayawaso Central, and Korle-Klote Municipality. Yesterday, Thursday, 2nd July 2026, a second major wave of relief distributions were rolled out to the 7 critical districts: Krowo Municipality, Ga East, which is Dome Kwadenya, Shai Osudoku, Adan East, Ablekuma North, Adan West, and Okankwe North. To our brothers and sisters in the Central region, Volta, Western, Ashanti, Western North, and the Eastern regions, please be assured that you have not been forgotten. Even as we speak on the high-density displacements in Greater Accra, logistics columns are currently being organized to dispatch massive relief packages to the Central region, Volta region, and all other affected districts across the country. NADMO regional coordinators are on the ground, and additional supplies will arrive in your communities starting tomorrow. As we navigate the aftermath of this disaster, we urge all citizens to remain vigilant, to adhere to safety warnings, and to report emergencies. Your government, the Mahama administration, will not rest until every displaced family is safely housed, every affected district is restored, and our communities are rebuilt to be stronger and more resilient against future weather anomalies. We thank our emergency services workers, the military, the police, health workers, and volunteer groups who have worked tirelessly around the clock. We will keep the public updated with briefings as the situations unfold. I thank you very much for your attention. So we've had a briefing from the mitigation side of things. I've also shed light on what we are doing by way of relief. In view of time constraints, there's another major activity currently happening involving the President of Ghana. So we need to maximize the time. I'm able, therefore, to take only 2 questions from the media, strictly in relation to the presentations that have been made. No tangential issues are allowed. Yes, Kobla.
Considering the widespread nature of what has been the situation for about 20 or so days now, many are of the view that they would want to see a firmer action. And looking at the presentation that the Garrett coordinator just gave, it appears that there's a lot of indiscipline and a flouting of rules here and there. What is this? What is going to be the next action that the government is going to take, more or less a ruthless one, to ensure that this or the coming days may not, we may not have to see a thing of this again. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. If there's any other question, I'll take it now, and then the appropriate responses will be given. Okay, Brigadier Okanyebua, you may want to take this one.
Thank you very much. As I indicated in my statement, an area reconnaissance was conducted. We've gone on the ground, we've conducted reconnaissance on the ground, together with all the stakeholders. This is not an event, it's a process. It's going to take some time, so detailed planning is going on. And like I said, we are supposed to clear debris, clear waterways. So if we have to pull down structures that are obstructing our waterways, we'll do so. Thank you.
All right, so it is clear. He says if we have to pull down structures, that will be done without let or hindrance. There's room for one more question. In the absence, okay, just one more. And then,
So, good morning. My name is Emmanuel Romeo Tete. I report for Honto 92.3 FM. Please, I want to know if there are timelines set for completing of the nationwide cleanup exercise, the cleaning of the debris, if there is any timeline. Thank you.
I thought he just answered that it is not an event, it is a process, but it is starting immediately. That we can place on record. So thank you very much, members of the media, for coming. And as events unfold, we will keep you constantly updated. Thanks.